John, tell me about how you met Luis.
Luis and I met about 10 years ago at a political consulting firm. I was, one of a horde of political consultants working in a Union Square office in the city. Luis shared office space with this firm, and we met in the kitchen of that company's office space, and we quickly became friends. We had a shared Puerto Rican background. He was charming sort of man who would talk to everyone. He would just sort of walk through the office and talk to everyone. And I began working on projects with Luis. And over the years, I got to know the man a little bit more, got to know about his story, about his movement from Puerto Rico to mainland New York City when he was 19 years old, and all that he had done. He leaves behind a very sort of stable life in Puerto Rico, and within a matter of years is running successful Senate campaigns. And that always struck me, and I was curious about what made the man tick. He works like no one I've ever met. He's completely relentless. And then when he moves into another period of his life where he's doing the same insane things that he's doing when I meet him, and then becoming sort of this quiet force behind his son's rise, I thought it was a good time to start following around with a camera, and that's what I did.
Luis, how did John approach you and say, I want to make a movie about you?
One day he just said, can I follow you around with a camera?
For the next 3 years of your life.
Yeah, just like you asked for a date. Can I follow you around with a camera? I said, you're not following just me. You're following my entire family. So I really have to have a discussion with my family to make sure they're game for this. He said I had already spoken to Luz, to my daughter, who's the most private of all of us, and she said it was fine. I said, well, there's a wife, there's a son, there's a teenager in the house, so I'm glad my daughter, who's the one who always says no, she learned that from her mom, said yes. And when the family said it's fine, then it was sort of getting used to something that I have never done in my life, which was to be sort of like the center of attention. And how do you behave normal when you have a couple of people following you around?
Is it, even though your family is in so much of the public eye, like, is it confronting to have like a crew of guys following you around day to day, especially when you're going through like traumatic health stuff?
Yeah, try it. It's tough. Yes, it is. Remember, I come from a working life where I'm usually in the background. I have said many times, if I have to be on camera for politics, my candidate did something very, very bad, or things need to be explained, because the candidate should be the one on the camera. Yeah. My son, it's the one on the camera. Causes, institutions that I have worked with, you have to propel them, to push them to be at the forefront. So to have people around, you first need to go to this mental space and get used to the fact that they're just furniture. They are like the 1,000 little figurines and vases and things that my wife has in the house. You see them, but you don't see them. You get used to them, even when you don't like them.
I am furniture.
And as furniture, I've read this is your first film. Is that true?
It is. It is my first feature doc.
What is that like for you? Like, was it scary when you were doing this? Was there like a what if I screw up here?
No, I was never scared. I was always excited. I think the family doesn't, they approach their work in a very serious way, but they're pretty lighthearted. And I think the key here was trust. And he trusted me with his story, with his family's story, by extension. And that made it easy because I felt like if they trusted me not to screw this up, it's just, the confidence that one displays kind of gives you wings. And I wasn't scared throughout. I was worried about hitting certain deadlines. I was worried about things like keeping up with his torrid schedule, but fear never really entered into it.
What was it like, Luis, for you to watch the final cut and see yourself, your life, your family on screen in a way that's like honest and relatable and, happy and sad, like all of those emotions?
It was a reminder of things that I have to go through. The scenes in Puerto Rico, even now, I have now seen the documentary 3 or 4 times. And every time I get to the shift to Puerto Rico and what Hurricane Maria did to Puerto Rico, I feel very sad. I tweeted the other day because, Twitter is now my therapist, like to millions of people throughout the world. I tweeted the other day that I hope to get to the point where I could see that transition to Puerto Rico and be able to see it as something else that happened in my life and not get this heavy heart that immediately gets connected to such a horrible thing that happened in my life, my family's life, and the life of millions and millions of people. And then there are scenes that that.
But let's also talk about the way you cry. I mean, the way you cry on camera it's like a knife in the heart too. So you don't help us when you do that, Luis.
I know. When I cry like I do most things in life, I invite everyone to do it with me, just like I do everything else in life.
You expect excellence.
I expect the best cry. My family, the first time we saw a cut of this was in Puerto Rico this past Christmas. It was not the final cut, but it's the first time everybody saw it. And we were all there, my brother, my sister, my nephew, my nieces, everybody was there. And when there are pictures of my first wife, when I was 18, you have to understand, there is an entire generation of cousins and my kids that have no contact and no physical knowledge of that very first step in my life. You could hear, like if you were in a movie theater, the popcorn was missing. Oh, whoa. So you go from what it's lighthearted and everyone enjoyed to what is, it's heavy in your heart, like the destruction of Puerto Rico.
John, knowing the cultural clout that Hamilton as a property has, as a first-time feature director, did you feel like an added pressure to get the Hamilton stuff right, knowing the place that has in the universe?
I didn't, because I had worked with Lin-Manuel in the past, and I just trust him to no end. And I feel like wherever he's going, is a good place. So I think that's number one. But perhaps really the answer is I was too naive or too stupid to even consider that, because there were so many things that I was wrestling with as a first-time filmmaker and wanting to get right, that an important question like that, for example, should have weighed more heavily on me than you would think. So that's probably the long and the short of it.
I want to test to that last part. It's the opening of Hamilton in Puerto Rico. We have gone through a roller coaster to get there. And 2,000 people are about to enter the theater. The production will be on in an hour. And JJ tells me, so we are placing a personal camera on the back of the seat in front of you at the theater.
My point exactly. I was focused on these things. I wasn't focused on whether Hamilton was going to be pulled off. I was like, can I get my shot?
I'm like I'm going to be on camera the entire production of Hamilton. I cannot even pick my nose for the next 2 hours and 45 minutes. So it was that kind of intensity and sort of very matter of fact, the way in which JJ dealt with the particulars, which also made it easier, because then the camera was not a big deal. It was just part of the back of that chair.
But I think the flip side to that question, which is a great question, is for the subject, and I think we started the conversation talking about his health, he was dealing with that throughout. And so as we got closer, as he loses the theater and he's very involved in making a very important decision about where he's going to remount this equity production, he's dealing with sort of, news from the doctor that he should slow down. At one point, he has to be taken to a local clinic to get checked out. So that was always there. And so why I might be dismissive, I think for the subjects, the stakes were a little bit higher.
It's crazy because this is the second time that I hear JJ talked about how I had to be taken to a local clinic.
You don't even remember, do you? Of course you don't.
No. I was probably
details, Luis, details, just, details.
Saying hello to people from my town.
Speaking of, as Puerto Rican people, what does it mean for you to have, Luis, to have your story on film and JJ to put this on screen for the people of Puerto Rico to see, for young Puerto Ricans in the contiguous United States to see? What does that mean for you? For both of you?
It is beyond Puerto Ricans. For Puerto Ricans, it's a matter of being proud that there are many of us who are working very hard to make reality better. For the larger public, at the time that we live, when even the President of the United States cannot condemn white supremacists. Something as simple as that, like, motherhood and apple pie, like the devil is bad. When that's the climate in which we're in, I hope people take the feeling and the reality that we are a diverse society, and it is the effort of many different kinds of people what make our country and our society great. And that's part of the message that I hope people get, that in the midst of Black Lives Matters, we need to take it to heart, because we all have something to contribute to the overall good.
Yeah. Guys, thank you for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Congratulations on the film.
Thank you.
It's really lovely. And be well.